Get to it.
All right, we're going to try something new today. What we have is a monstera. Now, there are various types of monsteras. This is the fruiting kind. There's a deliciosa that a lot of the stores sell, and like Star Nursery sells them, but they apparently don't. Those don't fruit, and those are made for a house plant. These can fruit apparently, so I had to get this shipped to me because I couldn't find anything locally. But I'm gonna try to plant this outside. Well, actually, I guess what I'm gonna do is try to take some of these cuttings and put some inside. Look at her. She just. Oh, this dog. I'm gonna try to take some cuttings from this. Apparently, these do well from cuttings. Just gotta get them by the roots. You can look at this root right here. Theoretically, if I cut some of these off, I can put these inside. Like cut it like right here. You want to cut right above the node where there's a root already formed, and then I can put this in some sort of medium and have it grow. Like here, even I could technically cut. This could be 3 even, but or you can have a cutting that has more roots on it. Like if I cut it here, it'll take better with more roots. But it's up to you. There's various ways of doing it. I'm gonna try to do at least 3 different ways. Try to get all these smaller ones. I'm gonna put these into the ground, and then these bigger ones I'll probably try to root indoors so I can have that as a backup. So from what I've read, these should be able to handle the heat, maybe not so much the sun rays until they get older. So, but there's plenty of roots in here. I can cut these even lower. I could probably do maybe even 4 or 5 off of this, but I think I'm just gonna do 3. They will need shading during the beginning. Again, as usual, it's the rays that are cause issues, but I hear that this fruit is delicious. It's gonna take like 3 years, so I might as well get a jump on it now. Let's get started. Alright, so this one we're gonna do first is test your hole. Our soil sucks, and then for some reason in Vegas they think rocks are a great landscape. Maybe that's because that's all we can do, kind of, but realistically we can do other things. So what you kind of want to do is dig a hole, put some water in it, see how long it takes to drain. And this clay slash rock sucks, and I can see that it's not draining fast, so I'm going to do what I can to ensure that, I can get drainage. These tropicals really need like a really good drainage. Look at this rock. This rock is in the ground. Like, what in the world? It makes no sense. That's not landscaping, it's just how our soil is. But the length that this water sits here lets me know what I want to do in order to increase drainage. In this case, I'm probably going to have it upgrade and have some sort of barrier at the bottom. Well over 10 minutes in, and no movement whatsoever, it just kind of stops. So what I'm going to do is add some of this. This not only increases the acidity, but it also breaks down clays. So you should add this to your soil anyway. This is how you start to transform your landscape from that crappy clay. But I'm going to put this at the bottom, and then I'm going to layer on top of it. Like, I need to just shovel out all these rocks. I'm trying to look through here. Some of this was the soil that's there is kind of like decomposed granite. But I'm also trying to put some rocks now at the bottom to make, like, when you think about a pot, you know how you put rocks at the bottom to catch some of that water. That's what I'm gonna do here, and it's not gonna break down. Some people add like twigs and trees. That's not what I'm trying to do. And when you're amending your soil, you want to kind of use what makes sense. I don't want anything that can break down and create gases. This is decomposed granite. This is basically what our soil is, the good part of our soil. You can use this, you can use sand, whatever you want to use yourself. Do not put compost or wood or any of that sort of thing in the ground. I wouldn't suggest it anyway. Definitely not here. You're just trapping that under, creating gases. So let's get the mixing. I'm also going to add some like perlite to this. Again, nothing that's alive, nothing that's going to create toxicity. and I'm gonna mix this in. I'm kind of thinking, mixing it kind of like I would do a pot, except I'm gonna try to use as much native as possible. And then worm castings. Our soil doesn't have really a lot of nutrition in it, and worm castings doesn't necessarily break down. It'll disappear and get used up, whatnot, but it's not gonna make the soil toxic. And then I'm gonna try to use as much native soil as possible, but this soil is just crappy. Let's get the mixing. Beautiful plant. Let's see what place makes the most sense to cut off. I think since this is like just kind of shooting off to the sides and there's roots, I think, as you see here, we got a couple nodes. So I'm just gonna cut below, like so. And I'm gonna look for another one to do. So looks like it'll work right here. Got a nice root. This is air root, so I don't want that. I want something that's gonna get acclimated to what I'm to water. So that should do nicely. We'll get this into medium. Get this inside. That way I'll have a backup as well as a house plant. Yeah, take a look at these roots on this one. The nodes that roots will grow from here and here at least. About doing a third one, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm not seeing a lot of extra roots. So I put some more water down to try to see how much water I could add to it. I think I'm going to put this above grade like I was saying earlier. So we're just going to make it a little bit higher than the soil level instead of burying it deep. I'll let the roots dig in. So again, I'm just lasagnaing this, adding layers, getting it mixed in. Soil sucks, like I said, so I'm going to add some additives. I'm going to put this Azos and Mycos. Azos really helps with a lot of growth, and the Mycos is what allows the roots to absorb nutrients. I haven't tested my soil, but I know Vegas soil in general, from what I've researched, sucks. And there's really no negative to add this. I add this to my pots on my plants, so there's no point. There's no reason not to add it. So let's check out these roots. Look at that. Look at that. Nice and white. You don't want to see any black. Just pop that bad boy down. Try to mix around the roots. Sure, I could have messed with the roots, and they weren't looking too root bound to me, so I just kind of left them as they were. They'll grow out. And I'm just trying to pull soil from the sides. I'm gonna add some other soil since I don't want to just pull a bunch of rocks on here. One of these mornings. One of these mornings. Kind of looking like. Got a little bit of roots poking out the top. Got some rocks in here. I mean, rocks are gonna add to, the drainage, but You don't want it to be all rocks, and that's what is all over here. I'm gonna have to spend some time to just remove all these rocks in general, because I do plan on having this whole area a nice little forest area, maybe going over the top of the sitting area. But as you can see, there's some nice mixture of the perlites and the decomposed granite and the native soil and all that within this area. When you think about the areas, right? So you have the crappy area, and then you have it slowly blending from a really good soil to the crappy area. So you don't want it to go directly from being great to crappy. You want it to be great, and then a little less great, a little less great, a little less great, and then until it's in native soil. So it'll acclimate. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I added the soil that I made, which again, nothing that decomposes in it. As when I get it mixed in with the rocks and everything that I have around it, and just ultimately get it acclimated. To me, this is the best way logically to do this. A lot of times people will either add something decomposing to their soil, or they'll have it like the soil that they made or they bought, and then it just goes from that into the crappy soil, and then things die. I think it makes sense for it to slowly change. Now we're going to top it off with some more worm castings and then mulch it. This is above the roots. Worm castings don't really matter because they're just worm castings. They're not going to break down and suffocate everything. But the mulch, you don't want that breaking down on your roots. Bring you in close. I just want to show you what everything looks like. So starting at the roots, and as it goes further out, it slowly changes the native soil. It's not immediately native soil. The best soil is closest to the roots, and then it starts to change because I'm slowly mixed in native soil. So good soil is all around here. The roots are all covered, and then it slowly fades out, right? And I'm making sure that it's covered before I start adding mulch. I don't want anything that's gonna break down and decay on my roots. And now this is a fairly shaded area, but eventually I'm hoping I'm gonna trellis this up. Eventually it's gonna climb out into the sun, but for the most part this doesn't get any crazy sun. And then my idea is that this whole area will just be canopied over and grow out this way. I'll have bananas growing out that way as well, and then maybe it'll even grow on top of the structure. I don't know, we'll see. These things don't grow super fast, but I am going to install a trellis and have it grow up. Now that's west facing. This big old tree blocks all that, so honestly, you know, in this area it kind of gets east, but I am going to have to get this covered. I'm going to put something on this side so that doesn't get any of that scorching sun. Now, well, so what am I going to do about the cuttings? I have a bunch of these jars, so I think this is where I'm going to put them in. So I'm going to put them in here and make sure that they fit. Looks pretty good to me. I'm going to do one with water, one with sphagnum moss, and I like it in something clear so I can see the roots actually grow. As you can see here and there, I should at least get some rooting going. Here's the sphagnum moss. Do the same thing with this. Once I start seeing roots through the sphagnum moss, I should be able to be good to go. You want to make sure this is damp, not overly watered. And this is probably looking like too much water. I need to get some out of here. But just like this. I'm leaving myself with options just in case something dies. And that's pretty much it. Look at these beauties. Got the sphagnum moss from my local store. These should grow nicely. Like I said, it takes up to like 3 years, I've heard, to get fruit. It's the pot I'm going to put it in. I figured I'm just going to put this inside. I'm going to cover this up and let it look like an actual plant while it's in the pot, while it's in its little jar. Let me know in the comments, has anybody else done monstera? I know in Vegas everybody's scared to do anything, but maybe in a desert climate, who has had success with these? I'm bound to try anything once. It's funny because they said that this is just an indoor plant when I purchased it, but I've seen it done, so we'll see. I like the experiment. I love this hobby. And you're broken. It's ridiculous. Let's grow.